Hello friends, how are you guys doing? So today the coffee lounge talk with Bible verse. First look at my cup. It says grow through what you go through. Grow through what you go through. That's life, right? So when challenging things happen, especially after divorce, separation, all of that, we know how life goes. In this channel we talk about that. And on this episode, if you're new here, we take one or two Bible verses, and then we talk about it, how, at least in my life, how I see that integrating. And then I also invite all of you to share your thought in the comments. So I am not expert. In fact, I am a new Christian. So I was Hindu all my life, and then I followed Buddhism for several months after everything fell apart. When I say after everything fell apart, November 2023, a little over 2 years ago, I lost my corporate job after 21 years at different places I worked. And a few weeks later, I lost my marriage. I was in a very dark place, very, very dark place. But God had a different plan for me, which is why I am here today. And if you have not seen my prior videos, I encourage you to see that I'm a normal human being. And if I can go through it, you can go through it. Life is beautiful now. You know, life is really beautiful. You just have to keep walking the path, my friends. Take one day at a time. But then when you go on the other side, the light is so bright. The light is so bright. Life will always throw things at you, but you know how to look at it differently. So before diving into the verse, Wayne Dyer. So I follow a lot of the people in self-help, and also when it comes to spirituality. Here's actually a Bible right here. It's like my daughter's Bible. A friend of mine gave it to her, and she gave a different one to me. Anyway, so I read all sorts of books. Lately, I actually have been reading like 5-6 books all at once. It reminds me of my engineering days. Anyway, I am a little crazy like that. So where I was going with that is Wayne Dyer has a quote, which is my second favorite quote of all time. He says, when you change the way you look at things, the thing you look at change. And I use this example sometimes. Think of this as just as a pen, right? You can look at it just as a pen, or this is still a pen, but you can think of it as it can write 10 inspiring books, right? The pen didn't change, our perspective changed, right? Okay, so with that, so today's verse that I came across, so I talk about it with you guys sometime here, that some of it happens like you can call it synchronicity, you can call it God's message, whatever resonates with you, because in this channel we don't push or force people to follow just one faith. I invite all of you guys to come and connect in a way that fully resonates with you, because my friends, when you believe into something without a trace of doubt, anything is possible in life. Last 2 years of my life is a living proof, which is also captured in YouTube. You guys know this is actually my startup garage, which is my living room. We're gonna do a meetup event. If you're gonna be, so today is what? Today is Wednesday. I'm filming it today. You guys will see it Sunday, this coming Sunday, and the meetup is actually following Saturday. So I have meetup events going on every 2 weeks, and sometimes it's here, sometimes it's in a rented place. But so yeah, the meetup events came out of helping people, all the people in separation and divorce. It's right now in Ashburn, Virginia. This is where it's located, but eventually we're going to do more in different cities and nationwide eventually. And of course the books and YouTube, but YouTube is where my journey started. And it started as a survival guide, my own survival journey, and it was helping other people. And then I just started helping people in many different ways. Okay, so today's verse is, let me read it to you guys. There's in my computer. Where is the verse? 1 Corinthians 6:19. Your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. Your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. So if you haven't heard that, which for me also this was new. I mean, new meaning I might have heard it in a different perspective. I don't know if you guys can hear it. That's my laundry machine making sound. It got done. Anyway, sounds like ice cream machine. So the message, your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. I came across that. My accent is so mixed up because half of my life I lived in India and half I lived here. So now it's like I don't try it in different ways, whatever way it comes out. So sometimes it's like mixed. Anyway, but I think you guys understand my English, so that's what matters. So recently, several of my friends actually, I came to know that their parents are going through different health challenges, and my mom back in India, she has a lot of knee pain. She's older, so she has knee pain. I pray for her, but at this point there is no solution really. Anyway, getting back to the point. So body is the temple, right? So this is something that really helped me too. By the way, today is actually Ash Wednesday, at the start of Lent. If you are Christian, and I think if you're Christian Catholic, you probably follow that. However, you don't have to be Catholic or Christian to follow these things, right? So people usually, so the other day when I was working out at the gym, and I'm going to connect this to how this, your body is the temple connects with this. So that's my part of the story anyway. And you can share similar stories in the comments if you'd like, because these are fun part. That's kind of, to me, it's like a treasure hunt. Like I see something, God shows me something, and then something from there connects to the next, that connects to the next, and it's almost like a GPS, like it says go left, and then on the left, when I go there, the destination point, it says go right, and then I go right, and that has a destination point which points me to, okay, go straight, 10 miles. GPS will tell you that, and that's what I do, like keep going until the next sign shows up or things like that. So this has been an amazing journey last 2 years, and I'm still doing that. So it's like a good way of staying curious, and so far, life is beautiful when I'm following this. So you can, again, like I said, you can call it synchronicity, you can call it God's message, whatever resonates with you. This is what has been working for me. For you, a different thing might work. So anyway, so as people are struggling, my friends, and I pray for them, their parents, as they're going through major health challenges. And for me, like where I was talking about Lent and Ash Wednesday, so people usually give up something they like, or you can give up like some sort of behavior. Let's say, if you get to social media too much and you don't want to, and then you give up social media for 40 days or something like that, or you limit your timing. So for me, social media is part of my work, so I can give up that. So I kept thinking what I could. And impatience and complaining. These are the two things. I figured that I don't complain much because I don't judge anybody or anything. So when you don't judge, the complaining kind of goes down automatically a lot. So it went down, but there are, we are human, we're not God, so some complaining could happen. Unintentionally a lot of time. And then you kind of catch yourself. And also there's this impatience, right? Which I still do. I guess, again, as a human being, we get impatient. So there's always room for improvement when it comes to patience. And this year, I'm really focusing on increasing my patience level more, where also they say, patience is, not they say, I kind of came up with it, I don't know. Patience is another name for love, and which in Jesus, one of the main thing I follow from Christianity is how Jesus said, love one another. And that's mainly probably the main absolute thing I follow from Christianity. And there are a lot of other things I follow, but at the same time, I think I am not Christian enough for many Christian people. I actually got rejected for baptism once. And at the same time, I could be too Christian for people who are not Christian. So anyway, that's a side story. We're not getting there today. So, So I was thinking, okay, impatience and not complaining, how do I follow both? Could be kind of hard. And then I worked with 𝗕𝗓𝗕𝗘. So, AI can be good if you use it for good. And then GPT helped me to connect those two, like, because a lot of time our complaining comes from being impatient, right? So I figured I'll try my best to be patient. And there are many different ways you can be patient. You just take a deep breath and you count to 5 when something is, being very challenging. Or, because I have a lot of stuff going on with my startup life, co-parenting and lots of other things in life, as you also do. So I was looking through things, how I can manage it all by myself. And then I came through something and also connected with my framework. If you know my framework, it's also on my website, MidlifeReinvention.co. So I'm going to share with you guys that what I did, and I probably will write a blog about it when I have time. I have like 3 blogs lined up, so there'll be a 4th one when I get to do it. But I'll dive back to the verse again because they're all interrelated. So, excuse me. So the rich quadrant, you guys know, relationship, ideal life, career or finance, and the health, right? Health is the physical and emotional health, these 4 quadrants. So when you have so many things going on and so different 4 quadrants of life, which is like 4 tires of a car, and you need to keep driving the car, sometimes it's like you have to do 5 things in each quadrant, right? Because the priorities are high for all of them. So sometimes you got to take one top action in each quadrant, if that's what makes sense. Or they might be interrelated. So that's what I figured. I'm like, oh, okay, so that actually, because ultimately what happens is the patience and control, because we as human beings, we want to control things. I mean, you like it or not, and like they'll say, oh, don't control, you can't control anything. But when you have a sense of something, even if it's an illusion of controlling something, our brain gets tricked in a good way. So when you take one action, even from each quadrant, that gives you the feeling that you are able to control something. You're able to control your life, the events and stuff like that, right? So that's what I did. Like, for example, for health, I exercise on most days. I go to the gym, and that helps me, so physically and emotionally. And so I did that, right? So I made sure I go to the gym. I did that for my daughter. She and we spent some good time. We actually watched the movie Ronald and the Purple Crayon. You don't want to say that to my daughter because I didn't like the movie, but I watched it with her. So that was a quality time that we got to spend together. But we did have other fun stuff, but that movie was not good. Anyway. So that was that. So, it was, when it comes to ideal life, if you guys don't know about my framework, it is about filling the bucket, right? Quality time is, because if your bucket is full, this is my coffee here. So, if you have heard that thing, right? Keep your cup full or things like that. So if you are pouring from an empty cup, you are going to be pouring bitterness. So for both of us, for my daughter and I, when we're spending time together, like filling our cups, it's filling her cup and it's filling my cup, right? So that also helps with the relationship quadrant. So 2 things kind of connected together. And you may not be able to do everything every day, and then when it comes to career, yesterday I did something for my meetup platform, but I didn't have the time to write the book, I do it in intervals. So all of that kind of goes back to the body is the temple, taking care of your body. If you're a Christian, the Holy Spirit part, which also I have the concept of inner coach and inner critic. Actually, my meetup in 2 weeks, and 1 week and a half, the games are going to be around inner coach and inner critic, because these are all interconnected. It's an ecosystem where the YouTube videos and the meetup events and the book, they are all interconnected. If you read my book, you also know it's, I think, chapter 11, where I introduce the concept of inner coach and inner critic and the framework, a little bit of the framework, which is actually in book 2. this is what it will be detailed in book 2. I call it like finding your inner light, like how you can, because we are all born with light and love, and over time what happens is, as people say, oh, you can't do this, you're not good enough, whatever, and these are like layers of onions keep building, and then when something like divorce happens, or job loss happens, or in my case both happen at the same time, you get knocked down so hard that you feel like there's nothing else to lose. And then it gets to that inner core, and that inner core is actually the inner coach, because again, what happens is people keep judging, right? So the inner critic gets loud, but there is a way you can keep feeding the inner coach that becomes big, and you can not feed the inner critic and that becomes small. So your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So your body, it's not only just your mind, right? Your body, you have to eat healthy, exercise, and like also I have something actually I wrote down here, like if you're drinking water, you're taking care of your body, and if deep breathing is your thing, mindfulness is your thing, gratitude practice is your thing, setting boundaries, and that is so important after divorce, trust me, because a lot of during divorce, a lot of time what happens is either we are not setting boundaries or we are breaking other people's boundaries, right? And a lot of it, of course, comes from not having clear communication, because setting boundary is challenging, right? Because communication, when you communicate with another person, setting boundary is like saying, okay, this is what is acceptable, this is what is not acceptable. And you may not say it that way, but somehow two people need to understand, because when we communicate, there is communication is sent and received, but between those two, sometimes this person is sending this 4 lines of communication, and from the other side they're catching only 2. And if that is happening, there is a communication gap right there, right? So when we set the boundaries, it has to be understood, like, okay, let's say there's this 4 things, whatever that is. And I talk about some dating after divorce videos that are shorts and stuff like that. You guys would see this, because these are really, really key, the alignment, and when you're dating after divorce, all of these are so key, because I know I'm diving in different parts with this verse, because this alignment is a key. So let's say if you see that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, and another person, it doesn't have to mean that you both have to be Christian to look at it that way. Or if your criteria is that the other person has to follow the same faith, that's your non-negotiable. And if it's not, it's not. It's like whatever works for you, right? That we all have 8 billion people have walked 8 billion unique paths, and we all have different, I don't know, lack of better word, non-negotiables, right? Also, because the first marriage divorce rate is 40%, second marriage is 70%. 70%. So chances of people picking a person during the second time is very similar to the first time, and that's how it ends up being, the divorce rate ends up being higher, because we as human being, we look for the familiar pain than unfamiliar peace. We look for the familiar pain than unfamiliar peace. It's psychological. Our brain works that way, our heart works that way, our mind works that way, because it's almost like, think of it this way, that it comes a little bit also from, I don't know, fight or flight type of thinking, where when you know that, oh, something happens and you have a, I don't know, a little headache, you're like, oh, I know that I can deal with that headache, but if I go out there, I don't know what is out there. Is there a, tiger gonna come and eat me, or I know I'm using extreme example, or lion is gonna come and eat me, right? So instead of that, I'm like, I can deal with a little headache. But who knows, when you go out, forget about headache, you might have this amazing island, and I don't know, like, a big cruise ship and whatnot. But our mind doesn't think that way. Our mind thinks like the fear of unknown. You've heard, right? So unknown is always fearful. But you have to train your mind, and that's where the inner coach and inner critic comes into picture. You have to train your inner coach that there is good out there. There is good out there, right? It's not only about relationship. It's about the reason the divorce separation is difficult is because, yes, you of course miss the person until a certain point, and after that, what you also miss when the layers of emotion comes up, either with the music or food, smell, or something, is the version of you that experienced once before. Let's say some holiday food tradition you experienced before, and your mind was thinking that it'll be your future with that person, similar type of experience or different. So that version is not there anymore. So you are actually grieving that version of future you that you imagined, because our brain, it's once it imagines, it can kind of forget it. So, but you have to think that there is better things out there, because a lot of it is about, like, when you grow in our coach, your mind gets trained to look for the good, and as you keep looking for the good, you attract good, and good things happen. But again, it's not overnight, it's over time. It's over time. You gotta be consistent, and then your brain by default starts looking for the good in everything. And trust me, it's been over 2 years I've been practicing this. If I don't practice it for like 2 weeks, I can feel the difference. So it's just like, going to the gym. They talk about our mind is a lot about, just like the body. When you go to, even if you're always a gym goer and 2 weeks you didn't go, your body will feel it. And if you don't go for 2 months, your body definitely will feel it, because the weight is going to go up and the mirror will tell you. And so yeah, it's so important to feed the body, feed the mind, because our bodies are the temple, all of our bodies. So we got to take care of it. So now I understand life can be busy with work, appointments, kids, there's so many other things. So if you don't have the time for self-care, I have the 12 p.m. daily midday reset under 1 minute videos. And trust me, I'm not telling you to watch my channel because of that. If it helps, only if it helps, check out a few. Then take that 1 minute off, because I also do it for myself, because that gives me a pause. That gives me a pause during the day. That even, because sometimes they will tell you that if your morning didn't go well, like, always there's a next day. You don't have to wait until next day. You can even, we live moment to moment. There are zillions of moments, which is what life is made up of. So you can have a one bad moment and the next moment can be good. It is all in our mind. The decision that we have to make, the decision that the next moment will make it better, right? So sometimes moments can be hard to choose, because sometimes when something happens, something throws us away, and it can take hours. But lunchtime is a good break, because even if you're working, you're busy, you can take a quick break as you eat lunch. You can check and see if that works. Some of them I have 1 day challenge, like you, as you go to the bathroom, you look at the mirror and you say to yourself that I am enough, right? I'm enough. And sometimes either at work or with a discussion with a friend, or after divorce especially, you might feel judged by what people are saying or thinking. Trust me, it took me a while to get over that, because especially in my corporate years, 21 years, I did shrink to fit a lot, because in the last 10, 15 years, I was in many meeting rooms where I was the only woman, and sometimes only brown woman. And I did shrink to fit. A lot of time I was told by my direct boss in different companies I was too strong, too nice, too something, too that. And even in your marriage, you might feel that. You don't have to be a woman. You can feel that as a man too. So it's not gender based. But the point is, don't shrink to fit. Life is too short, and that's how I live my life now. That life is too short. Don't shrink. Don't shrink. Don't shrink. Because if you shrink to fit, there will be this resentment, the bitterness that'll fill you up. And it is not good for you, and not good for people around you. because what happens is it comes out. You can only contain it for so long because the resentment has a limit. You know, for some it could be a limit of a cup, for some it could be a bucket, but resentment has a limit. When it is full, it explodes. So you don't want a life like that, because then it's not good for anybody. You must have heard Gottman's work a little bit, John Gottman, Julie Gottman. They talk about people's type. Sometimes if you're avoidant versus volatile versus, there's the mid balance of that. Like, you know, and we as human beings, we could be all of those at a different time, but some, depending on how long you're in a marriage, where generally with divorce, it's always one person becomes avoidant. If they're already not avoidant, another person is volatile because they try to connect, and the avoidant person is like, oh, I would rather not talk about it, throw it under the rug. But guess what? Again, it goes to resentment, has a bucket, and just explodes. So if you're avoidant, that sometimes naturally happens that, oh, to keep the peace, I'm not going to talk about it. So I would highly encourage talk about it, because communication is what can help solve any problem. And as you keep doing it more, it'll help. So for me, I have learned that the hard way, extremely hard way. So now I don't shrink to fit anywhere, because what I think is where, actually I did a Toastmaster speech a few weeks ago about that if the room is not bringing me peace, the room is good, but that's not my room. You know, doesn't matter where it is, what it is related. It could be related to my faith, it could be related to other things. Life has taught me a lot, so I try to live fully, authentically. First, you got to be authentic to yourself first. And if you're not, you know, if you try to pretend for other people that, oh, that is going to make them happy, you can't, because after some time, that is going to crush you. Again, going back to the body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. I know I started from the boundary and went to all of that, but it is so important you treat your body as the Holy Spirit. If you're a Christian, it'll resonate with you. If you're not Christian, think of your higher self, the universe, the whatever resonates with you, right? God, anything that we are. Even if you go with non-duality, which I have several books right here of Wayne Dyer, I like his books a lot. He talks about non-duality, or even in Buddhism, there's everything is interconnected. So if you are not taking care of yourself, in a sense, you are not taking care of the humanity, right? So it is not selfish to take care of yourself first. It also goes with that, you know, when you are in an airplane, you put the mask on yourself first before you take care of your kid. Because if you don't, you are gonna die. You can't take care of your kid. That's the concept. So same thing. Our emotions are similar way. If you don't take care of yourself and you're trying to take care of your kid or others, the emotions are gonna run high. So I hope that made sense. And this is how I came through that. It's in books of Paul. 1 Corinthians 6:19, I had some previous synchronicity happening that led me to this, and I was like, it was mind-blowing. Especially I shared with some of my friends, and with them also it resonated. So I thought I'm gonna make a coffee lounge video with that verse this week. Okay. Take care, my friends. Again, if it resonates, look it up. Every day at 12 p.m. I have quick midday reset. All of them are under 1 minute. Some are one-day challenge. Some are dating after divorce tips. Some are just a regular corporate life, how you can take a reset in between midday. Different types, right? And sometimes gratitude, sometimes mindfulness, all under 1 minute, how you can integrate those positive experiences or positive actions during your day without spending extra time, right? Because these days nobody has 1 hour to sit down and meditate, but you can still integrate it in your daily life. Good luck, and I will see you guys next. Bye.